She did the unimaginable, crushed male grandmasters in a game that told women to sit down and stay quiet. And then Netflix erased her with one careless throwaway line. The Queen's Gambit? Great show. But the truth is, there was a real woman who lived that story decades before Beth Harmon ever existed. And history forgot her on purpose. Let me tell you about the woman who actually changed the game of chess and how they tried to write her name completely out of it. Her name was Nona Gaprindashvili. Say that name 3 times fast. And when Netflix tried to rewrite her legacy, she sued them and won. Hi, I'm Chris, and I tell the stories for the voices who can no longer do it for themselves. What other groundbreaking women's sports figures do you want to know the story of? Let me know down in the comments. Nona was born in 1941 in Soviet Georgia during World War II. By the time she was a teenager, she was already embarrassing grown men at chess, a game which men fully dominated. At just 21 years old, she became the women's world chess champion, and she held that title for 16 years, longer than anyone before her. And she wasn't just a women's champion either. She was a fighter. Her play style was bold, aggressive, and extremely tactical. She attacked like a street fighter and defended like a military genius. In the 1970s, Nona was competing in top-level open tournaments, and not just in women's events. In 1977, at the Lone Pine Tournament in California, she went up against a field dominated by elite male grandmasters, and she tied for first place. No small feat whatsoever. The next year, she made history. Nona Gaprindashvili became the first woman in the world to be awarded the full title of Grandmaster by the FIDE. Not Women Grandmaster, Grandmaster, period. End of title. She's also well known for playing multiple people at one time. This type of event is known as a simultaneous exhibition, or simul. It's when one master plays multiple games against many opponents at the same time, walking from board to board. Nona was known for holding simuls throughout her career, and she crushed most of the competition. This is especially significant because she wasn't just playing amateurs. Sometimes she'd take on strong club players or even masters in these simuls. She is one of the few women, and certainly the first woman grandmaster, to do this on the international stage with such dominance. So imagine her shock decades later when Netflix releases The Queen's Gambit. It's a fictional story, sure, but in the final episode, they mention Nona by name, and they say,
Elizabeth Harmon's not at all an important player by their standards. The only unusual thing about her really is her sex. And even that's not unique in Russia. There's Nona Gaprindashvili. She's the female world champion and has never faced men.
Except she had dozens and dozens of them in international tournaments, and she wiped the floor with them. Nona called it what it was: defamation. She filed a lawsuit in 2021 for $5 million, saying Netflix brazenly and deliberately lied about her. Her argument was extremely simple. Netflix had no right to exploit her real name and legacy just to boost a fictional narrative. Netflix tried to get the case thrown out, arguing it was just fiction. But the judge disagreed, saying that because they used her real name and made false claims, it wasn't protected as free expression. So in 2022, Netflix settled. The exact terms were never made public, but the message was loud and clear. Nona's legacy goes far beyond one TV show. She won the Women's World Championship 5 times. She led the USSR women's team to gold in 11 chess Olympiads, earning 25 medals in total. In Georgia, she's a national hero. There's even a trophy named after her, the Gaprindashvili Cup, awarded to the country with the best combined performance in both men's and women's Olympiads. She inspired a generation of female players: Maya Chaboranidze, Nana Alexandria, and Judith Polgar, just to name a few. They all walked through the doors that Nona kicked open with full force. Netflix made up a genius, but Nona Gaprindashvili was real. And for decades, she was undeniable. Tag someone who needs to know the real Queen's Gambit, because history doesn't belong to Hollywood. It belongs to the ones who lived it. Like, follow, and share for more untold stories of history that Hollywood just gets wrong all the time.